I am Nikarasu with the Paparasu, and I have a new video for you. This is the first video of my new series, Movie vs. Comic. In these videos, I'll be comparing DC anime movies to comic book storylines that they're based on. And for this video, I'll be starting off with my favorite DC anime movie of all time, Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. And I'll be comparing that movie to Justice League of America Earth 2. If you're interested in watching the movie, it's on HBO Max. And if you're interested in reading the comic, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below.
And here we go.
JLA Earth 2 was a comic created in 1999, written by Grant Morrison, and drawn by Frank Quitely. I just want to start off by saying I don't like the art in this comic. It's pretty bad, and I think a lot of you would agree with me. Of course, I'm not going to base it off of artwork alone, especially since I find the storyline and the writing of characters way more important. It's not about what's on the outside, it's about what's on the inside. The movie was originally supposed to take place in the DCAU, and was supposed to be called Justice League Worlds Collide. From what I researched, it seems like this movie was cancelled because the voice actors for the show didn't want to connect the show to this movie. Even though the original idea for this movie was rejected, this was still really good. It still sucks that the voice actors for the show didn't work on this movie. No disrespect towards the cast, I mean, I do think they were good in this movie. But the characters for the show are just perfect as the characters they voice as. Despite the voice actors not being in this movie, we still got people who worked on the show that worked on this movie. Dwayne McDuffie and Bruce Timm. In the storyline, Lex Luthor is the leader of the Justice League and is the only one left. All the others were taken out by the crime syndicate, who are also trying to take over the world. Knowing that he can't take out the crime syndicate alone, he travels to another universe asking for help. The first difference that I want to bring up is the Green Lanterns. In the comic, it was Kyle Rayner, but in the movie, it was Hal Jordan. Luthor's arrival to the main universe. In the comic, it seems like he first appears in Kansas, where he is found by two people who were driving around the area. While the Justice League is dealing with a mysterious plane crash, they get a call for help from Lex Luthor. And so the next day, Superman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern pay him a visit at LexCorp. In the movie, Luthor arrives in Metropolis instead of Kansas. He then heads to a police station and requests to speak with the Justice League. So after Luthor tells the Justice League about his Earth, they decide whether they're going to go and help Luthor or not. There's a few differences in this part here. In the comics, Superman is all for going to the other Earth, while in the movie he was hesitant to trust Luthor. While Wonder Woman is the one that convinces him that they should go and help billions of people on Luthor's Earth. Batman says no to going. His reasonings are a little different, which really aren't worth mentioning, but what is worth mentioning is what happens while they're discussing this. Superman convinces Batman to go, and then Batman suggests for Aquaman and Martian Manhunter to stay behind on their Earth. While in the movie, Batman stays behind and Martian Manhunter goes. In the movie, the members of the crime syndicate don't seem to have origins, but they do in the comic. We find out that Ultraman, the evil version of Superman, isn't actually a Kryptonian, but he was altered to be a superhuman by aliens. While in the movie, it seems clear that he's a Kryptonian, considering the fact that he's affected by kryptonite, which is blue and not green. In the comic, Superwoman is actually Lois Lane. In the movie, she seems to be someone else. If Lois was Superwoman in here, then Superman would have had some kind of reaction. Then again, he didn't really have much of one in the comic. In the comic, Ultraman and Superwoman are married, and it's a very awful marriage. It's so awful that Superwoman is even cheated on Ultraman with Owlman. In the movie, Owlman and Superwoman are together, and it doesn't seem like Superwoman is even in a relationship with Ultraman to begin with. As for Owlman, he's got the most interesting origin out of all the crime syndicate. Owlman is Thomas Wayne Jr., the older brother of Bruce Wayne. That night in Crime Alley, both Martha and Bruce were the ones that were killed. He blames his father for what happened, and so he chose to get revenge and became Owlman. Like the others, he may be someone completely different. The way the Justice League go about helping Luthor is different. In the comic, the Justice League decide to rebuild Earth 2. While they have the crime syndicate trapped on the moon with Green Lantern's power, which works since Ultraman can't break it. Batman meets the commissioner of the GCPD, his father, Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne mistakes Batman for Owlman. Batman assures Thomas that him and the Justice League are there to help. Even though he's in another universe, You think that Batman would be really happy to see his father alive. But no, they make it seem like Batman doesn't care whatsoever. Batman doesn't seem surprised or happy that his father is alive in this universe. They have Batman act like he's not working with his father to rebuild Gotham. What's also disappointing is that Batman doesn't even bother to ask Thomas more about Owlman. Like I said, when they first meet, Thomas thinks that Batman is Owlman. He's listening to Thomas say, "I know you blame me for your mother's death that night. I know you blame me for Bruce. There is nothing left to talk about, Thomas." So Batman has just found out that he was killed along with his mother. And at no point in this entire story does Batman think about bringing this up so that he can learn more. He should want to know more for two reasons. One is so that he can teach his father that revenge isn't the way, and because it might help him against Owlman if he has to fight him. After Thomas meets Batman, Luthor and the Justice League lures Superwoman to them, where Wonder Woman knocks her out. Luthor then uses Ultraman's teleporter to send Superwoman to the moon where the others are trapped. A while later, Owlman realizes that when traveling through other dimensions, cosmic scales have to be balanced, and so the Crime Syndicate end up getting transported to the Justice League's Earth, where Power Ring gets whooped by Aquaman, and Ultraman gets whooped by Martian Manhunter. Meanwhile, on Earth 2, Brainiac, who was being used as a slave by Brainiac, reveals that he was manipulating Lex Luthor into traveling through other universes. Brainiac had calculated that the two Earths would merge into the same space, and as a result, both Earths would be destroyed. If that had happened, then Brainiac would have ended up becoming a god. But Superman wasn't going to let that happen. When Superman meets this Earth's Brainiac, he sees that this Brainiac is different from his own. This Brainiac is a living being. So Superman can't bring himself to destroy Brainiac, because then he'd be taken to life. Batman then realizes that if they want to win, then they have to abandon Earth 2 and return to their Earth. Because evil is meant to prevail on Earth 2, while on Earth 1, good is meant to prevail. So the Flash uses his speed to send him and his friends back to their Earth, while the Crime Syndicate return to their Earth. And when they return, Ultraman takes care of Brainiac. In the movie, the Crime Syndicate aren't trapped by Green Lantern whatsoever. There aren't just the 5 members, there are 100 of members, and each main member has their own team of supervillains. Despite their powers and numbers, they haven't completely taken over the Earth yet, but the Crime Syndicate want complete control over the Earth, and so Owlman ends up creating a bomb. The Crime Syndicate then decide that if the people of Earth don't give in to the demands, then they'll completely destroy the Earth. At least that's what Owlman wants them to think. Meanwhile, the Justice League and Luthor are planning to attack multiple Crime Syndicate operations to cripple the main members of the Crime Syndicate. Owlman discovers that there are infinite Earths. He discovers that all these Earths were created because of people making choices, and so Earths where they didn't make that choice exist. He then sees that everything he and the Crime Syndicate have done has all been pointless, which leaves Owlman with a new goal: to make the only choice that will have any purpose.
Somewhere in the multiverse, there is a world I call Earth Prime. Every Earth is a variation of this one, the original. And once I destroy it, all reality will follow.
When Owlman reveals his plan to Superwoman, she's completely on board with it. Owlman had then discovered that Lex Luthor had left what they need to activate the bomb on Earth 1, where he sends Superwoman to get it. Batman, who doesn't know exactly what she's after, attempts to stop her. Batman sneaks up on her and throws explosive batarangs at her that do little to nothing. Superwoman completely overpowers Batman. Superwoman then returns to her Earth along with Batman, where she completely toys with him. As she's toying with him, Superwoman even manages to break one of Batman's ribs, which has to hurt. With no other options, Batman throws smoke pellets towards Superwoman. Thinking that he might escape, Superwoman breathes in the gas. Batman then tells her it was anesthetic gas that she ends up passing out from. Batman then calls for the Justice League, who succeeded in stopping Crime Syndicate operations. They even take care of Superwoman. The Justice League then plan to attack the Crime Syndicate at the base of their operations, while Martian Manhunter is being hit on by the President's daughter. So he stays behind with her. As they arrive, they find that the Crime Syndicate have been expecting them. Even though they took care of Superwoman, Johnny Quick finds her and helps her out so that they can trap the Justice League. Which doesn't work out, because Superman manages to escape and take out Power Ring so that the others would be free. And they immediately take action, which leads to a showdown between the Justice League and the Crime Syndicate as they were expecting. Something we should have gotten in the comic version but didn't for whatever reason. In this showdown, each member of the Justice League take on their own counterparts. I really love this showdown. My only problem with it is that some of the characters seemed way too dominant. Especially Wonder Woman, who was taking on Superwoman. Wonder Woman dominates throughout this fight with little difficulty. After Owlman takes out Batman, his computer finds Earth Prime. He then immediately leaves for Earth Prime with the bomb so that he can destroy every Earth, as he planned. Aside from Superwoman, the rest of the crime syndicate agree that Owlman needs to be stopped because after all, they don't want to die. Batman tries to go after Owlman but can't, because Owlman made it so that they can't use the devices to travel to Earth Prime. Luthor thinks of using the speedster as a portal. Flash volunteers, but Batman tells him that he can't because he's too slow, and that he knows Flash's limitations. With Flash out of the picture, Johnny Quick volunteers because he doesn't want his Earth destroyed. And so Johnny has to vibrate as fast as he can in order to become a portal. Their plan works and Johnny becomes a portal that Batman uses to travel to Earth Prime. Even with a broken rib, Batman manages to stop Owlman from destroying the entire multiverse. But in order to do so, Batman has to send the bomb and Owlman to an Earth where there's no life. Owlman sees that his plan failed and that he's about to die. But even as he's about to die, he honestly does not care whatsoever. So Batman comes back hurt, and Wonder Woman is the one that checks on him, which I actually do like. Wonder Bat moment? Batman immediately tells Johnny to stop vibrating. And when he does, we see that Johnny Quick had aged. Flash comes to his aid as he's dying. Johnny then figures out that Batman knew that this would happen. He didn't want this to happen to Flash, which is why he lied to him. Johnny tells Batman that it was a good thing he did so. 2 Syndicate members dead. Before the other 3 can do anything, Martian Manhunter shows up. And he's not alone. He brought along the Marines, and they all have nuclear weapons, which can even hurt the crime syndicate, and so Ultraman surrenders along with the other 2, which puts an end to them. And so, the Justice League return to their Earth, where Batman and Superman talk about having more members in the Justice League, and the rest of the members agree with that idea. Now for which is better, I honestly believe it's the animated movie. One thing I do think the comic does better is give the members of the crime syndicate origins. But the only problem is that their origins didn't lead to anything with the Justice League. Like Superwoman being Lois Lane. Not only should Superman have some kind of reaction, but he should be involved with her. And Owlman being Bruce Wayne's older brother. Sure, Batman doesn't have an older brother on his Earth. They should have had Batman learn more about Owlman and see if he could use his emotions against him. Especially since their dad is involved. And like I mentioned before, they do nothing with Batman and his father. They should have had Batman reveal his identity to Thomas, so that they can have a father and son moment. They don't have the main members of the crime syndicate fight against the Justice League. Green Lantern has them trapped throughout half the story, while the rest of the Justice League try to rebuild Earth 2, which is what they should do after they defeat and lock up the crime syndicate so that the crime syndicate can't ruin everything again. They make it seem as if the crime syndicate isn't a threat at all. In the movie, they're a major threat. Aside from the main members, there are a lot more villains in the crime syndicate, which is something I actually like. Nothing the Justice League do in this movie is pointless. I also think that it's better that Batman stays behind and then later on gets involved. Owlman learning of the multiverse leads him to wanting to destroy it, which makes the stakes even higher. And that about ends this video. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe.